Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Magic Hour. I'm your host, Magic Leb, aka Majid and Andary. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Josh Briggs.
Yo!
How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you.
I keep forgetting to say this in my intro. Please follow me on my Instagram at Fame Film Agency and my YouTube page at Majid and Andary. Now let's get into it. How you doing, man?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm feeling spectacular. Thanks for coming by, for taking the time to be here.
You're welcome. I'm very honoured that you asked me.
Oh no. Don't be too flattered. I'm asking everybody. I'm right now. I'm like this media whore who's opening his legs to everyone to come and join me.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
See,
no.
I was flattered, but now that you've said that, it's like...
No. Just to make you feel comfortable. You know what I mean? No, it's all good. Now, I guess the first question I want to ask you here, Josh, is how did you get into comedy?
So I got into comedy about 9 years ago, and they say that you have to be doing it for 10 years before you're good. So
Is that what they say?
hopefully I'll be good next year.
How old are you?
I'm 27. I turned 28 on Saturday.
All right. So have you been doing this since you were 17?
No, since I was 18.
Since you were 18. All right. So that how are you enjoying it so far?
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I underestimated you in a massive way.
Yeah.
When we did a show at the Comedy Complex, when they were open for that brief time, because we had spoken and we were kind of just getting acquainted for the first time, and you know, I am totally guilty of never judging a book by its cover.
Really?
I am totally guilty of that. That's on me, guys. Because when you got on stage, you fucking blew everybody out of the water, and it was so fucking funny. And I couldn't help but feel. No, your jokes were great, and your timing was great, and your presence on stage was great. And it took me a while to notice. Okay, you have a stutter.
Yes.
And you managed to incorporate your stutter.
Yeah.
Which brings our defenses down, right? Should I be feeling sorry for this guy? Should I be rooting for this guy? I don't know. But, you know, I'm going to laugh anyway with whatever he says to encourage him. But then I started laughing because you actually made us fucking laugh.
Good,
So you didn't get any sympathy laugh.
Yeah.
Right? How does comedy kind of help you develop your stutter, to prevent... I'm stuttering. To help you with your stutter?
It's contagious. I wouldn't say it helps. It helps it. It's more just something that it's the first thing that people notice about me. So it normally draws people attention.
Yeah.
It normally draws in people's attention because it's not something that's very common to have a stutter. So it can be a bit of what differentiates me from other comedians. But it's certainly not why I got into comedy. And I don't like to make the stutter the butt of all my jokes.
Yeah.
I like to talk about other things, but that's just something that's there. And
I know that you never made it as a priority.
yes,
You know, and I don't think you should either. You
No.
know, that's just the way you are. You know, you don't feel the need to have to do that.
yes.
You know, and that's terrific. Now, besides performing in Adelaide, have you performed anywhere else?
No, I performed one gig in Bali with Henry Wilson.
That's an interesting place, interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, we just went on a holiday there. We've been good mates for a while, so we went on a holiday there, and we went to a comedy gig. So I performed there, but besides that, it's all been in Adelaide.
Okay, so you're an Adelaidean like me.
Yeah,
that's
born
pretty-
and bred here.
Born and bred here. All right, that's pretty cool. Now, do you have a favorite comedian?
Oh no, there's too many. No,
That is a tough
can't
question.
name one. Kitty Flanagan was. I saw her Netflix special about 9 or 10 years ago, and I thought that was hilarious. And that's what gave me the inspiration to give it a go. So I'd probably say her if I had to choose someone.
So when you watched her, was that the moment when you said to yourself, I want to do comedy?
Yes, yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't have a sad or tragic story that led you to comedy?
No,
Aren't you a fortunate
no,
one?
no, I don't.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Yeah.
and I just saw a lot of other comedians, and I just noticed that that stand-up comedians they're so sprightly, and they've got this energy about them that I thought was always appealing, and I thought, I'd want to be that energetic and that charismatic.
Oh, you definitely are.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, I had no idea you were gonna break into song as well during your act. That was totally unexpected, and you just had everybody on the edge of their seat, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to have a moment like that. I mean, I have had a moment where I made the people laugh. And even burst into tears. But I don't think they were so fixated on me the way they were on you that night. And
Right.
that's just something that's truly astonishing. One
Thank
thing
you.
that I've noticed when you see anyone doing stand up, you know that they are destined for greatness when this happens. The following
Yes.
happens when halfway through your act, there's a pause where they're just applauding. Even for 10, 15 seconds, they're applauding. And then you continue your act. Whenever there's that pause where the crowd just applauds and you haven't even finished your set, all right, that's when you know, oh shit, this guy's got something or this girl's got
Yeah.
something. You know, what I mean? I've seen it in so many specials, and I've seen so many comedians like that who've done it for the first time, and they get that pause and they get that applaud. They're like, oh damn it, that is what I'm striving to get. You know, halfway
Yeah.
through your act, they just stop and they're taking a pause. They can't contain their laughter, so they just clap, and then they calm down, and then you continue. And that is the moment when you know you got something special.
Yeah.
Okay. During your time with comedy, have you ever felt like there were boundaries in terms of things that you think you should say or things you think you should not say?
Yeah, for sure. And towards the start of my comedy career, I guess you could call it, I certainly crossed the line a few times,
Mm.
and this was when I was 18, 19, and was experimenting with edgy stuff.
Mm.
But I do think comedy is one of those things where you can say things that you wouldn't normally be allowed to say, and
Yeah.
it'd be funny. But I still think there are general boundaries about not setting out to be intentionally hurtful.
Well,
And
that's always been a thing.
Mm.
Nobody, I don't think, except for people who are maybe panicking on stage, trying to get shock laughs. Nobody should be intentionally insulting.
Yeah.
If you're going to be insulting, there has to be a punchline to it. There has to be an opening. There has to be a story that leads to it. One of my favorite comedians, Dave Chappelle,
Yes.
and one of his specials, I think it was The Closer. I'm not sure. He was bragging about how good of a comedian he is that he started telling jokes backwards. All right, and he goes, "I'm going to just give you the punchline right now. I'm not going to tell you the whole joke. I'm just going to give you the punchline.
Yeah.
And here, you ready for it?
Yeah.
Here's the punchline. And then I kicked her in the pussy. That was the punchline.
Right.
All right, and then he goes on in his act, and then before you know it, he brings it up the story. All right, about what happened, and then he used that line, and then everybody's laughing, and he goes, "Yeah, you didn't think I was going to say it, did you? You didn't think I was going to get to it, did you? Because if he just said, 'I'm going to kick somebody in the pussy,' they're like, oh, where'd that come from?" You know, but the way he structured that joke, something that was violent and offensive, and using the word pussy, meaning that he's going to hit a woman, all right, that could be seen like, oh my God, that's outrageous. You know, but how he did it, even the women were laughing their ass loving that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, like there are boundaries in terms of being insulting for no reason, but do you feel there are boundaries in certain topics we can talk about?
Yeah, that's a really hard question. I think that any topic can be funny, so I guess the short answer would be no. It all just depends on the context.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Do you feel today's people or the generation that we're currently living in now are finding it more difficult to accept comedy, even the controversial type? Like, if you look at sitcoms, even sitcoms from the 70s,
Yeah.
black sitcoms like The Jeffersons and Good Times, sometimes they would use the N-word in that show.
Right.
And this was back in the 70s.
Yeah.
You even had white people that would say it.
Right.
Right? There was a show called All in the Family.
Yeah.
Right? And it's some of it, a lot of it is racially motivated for comedy. And in those days, they were laughing in hysterics, because that's just the way the culture was.
Yeah.
And now, of course, today, they won't do that. Especially on sitcom with live audiences, they won't do that. But it doesn't take away the effect of it being funny. Now, today, can you still? I'm not saying that you have to use that word.
No.
What I'm saying is, can today's crowd handle that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard question. There's no simple answer. It does depend on the crowd. You can't put all crowds into one box and say that everyone can handle this. But I do think that there's some advantages about living in today's day and age where there are some things that are off limits, and I think rightly so, because I think the 70s was a very racist and sexist, homophobic time, and we certainly don't want to go back to that. So
no, I agree to disagree. I still think we are living in a sexist, racist, homophobic time.
Oh yes, I agree with that.
I don't think that's ever going to go away. Racism has been here forever, and it's going to continue to be here in the future, along with being homophobic and sexist. It's just human nature at this point. Sadly.
Yes.
But I think what is changing is the way people perceive it has been changing through time.
Yes.
But these topics will always be talked about.
Yes.
And we're just doing it differently now. It's still funny, but we're just doing it differently. And I believe in some way, and I don't mean this in a bad way.
Yeah.
I just believe in some way everybody has that little racist bar, in them.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying that they are racist themselves.
No.
Right, but I would laugh at a racist joke. If I heard a racist joke, I would laugh at it. Now, I'm not laughing at the person, at the racist they're being making fun of.
Yes.
But I'm laughing at that stereotypical part of that race that's being made fun of.
Right.
That is what makes me laugh. So never about the people or anything like that. Moving on.
Yes.
Oh God, what was I going to move on to there? I had a thought and it went away. I hate when that happens. Now, did you have a gig in comedy that was so successful that made you finally stand out, that made people take notice?
I can't think of any one gig that stood out. There's always been some that have been better than others. But the first time I did a joke that people seemed to love, which was about fucking my grandma. I'm not sure if you've seen that one.
Well, you can't get more controversial than that.
But the first time I did that joke, I had no idea it was gonna get a big reaction, and the crowd just burst into laughter.
Well,
and
fucking your grandmother is going to get somebody's attention.
It did. But I wasn't expecting that kind of a reaction to my joke, and then that joke for a while became a bit of my staple joke. And so, I can certainly remember the first time I told that one, but besides that, no, there's no one gig that stands out. There's always, as I said.
But you had a joke that stood out.
Yeah.
Would that be your most famous joke, or the joke that you're most proud of?
Yes, it's certainly my most famous joke, and the joke that people come and talk to me about, saying before I do a show, someone will come up and say, "Are you gonna do your grandma joke? Please do."
Did you get permission from your grandmother to make this joke?
I didn't. Thankfully, my grandmother has very severe dementia, and she's living in a nursing home, so
Okay.
she's in no state to give me permission.
If she did, she would have forgotten about it.
Yeah, she
Okay,
would
cool,
have
cool.
forgotten.
Speaking of dementia, the one film that I find hysterical,
Yes.
but for some reason women find it the most romantic movie on earth. But I think it's the most funniest movie on earth. The Notebook.
Oh, yeah, that's with Ryan Gosling.
I find it hysterical because I was married for 14 years, and what I wouldn't kill to live long enough to see my wife get dementia, just so I can visit her every day, punch her in the face, and she'll forget all about it. This guy didn't take advantage of that. I mean, I know it's a love story and all that kind of stuff, but as a person who had a failed marriage, and so many men I've seen who've had marriages where their wives just tore them a new asshole, what they wouldn't kill if they lived long enough to see their women get that dementia. But enough with that violence and illness. Here we go. I can already answer that question. How do you prepare for a set there, Josh?
Normally I'll normally try and avoid talking to people about 10 minutes before my set, and just so I can have some quiet and go over it in my head. I'll normally go into a corner and just plan out what I'm going to say. That's how I prefer. And also I'll have a set list. I don't like to rehearse it word for word what I'm going to say, but I certainly want to have the topics in mind, so I'm not just on stage going, "Oh, what am I going to talk about?"
So you don't write your jokes word for word. You like you write the topics and you make up the rest of your head?
Yeah. I'll write the topics down. Normally, I'll have a punchline, but I don't perform it word for word. No.
Have you ever had like a thought that you thought it was really funny and you just write it down, like a funny line or a funny joke?
Yeah,
you just write
certainly.
it down and say, I'm going to see how I'm going to incorporate this into my act.
Yes.
Have you ever had that kind of moment?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, and I like that because I like to. I first started out as writing everything down. And writing it in the sense that how I'm going to say it, right? And rehearse it over and over like I'm doing a one-man play. So I want to make sure that I get every line. Because the one thing I don't want is to miss a line. And when I did my first act, I missed one or two crucial jokes, and I could kill myself. But it was still a good night. But I was upset with myself that I didn't get to tell that part as well. Because you just feel like it could have been something great.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. Yeah, there's always stuff that you've got in your head that doesn't come out on stage, and then you're like,
See, I've always been used to doing 7-minute sets. So that's the average. 7 minutes is the average.
Yeah.
Being now that I'm back in Australia, they give you 5 minutes. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot of time difference, but it really is. That you can do a lot in that extra 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like I was caught off guard, having that little time restriction. And I was begging them, can't I just have 7 minutes? I've got enough for 7. This is the perfect 7. You know what I mean? This is 7 heaven I got right here. But so you got to do with what you got to do. That's why I loved my set when I performed for the Wakanda when they were still open, and Clay was hosting that night, and he told me, dude, you can have up to 10 minutes. And that was the most comfortable I've been on stage since I've been here back in Australia. Because that was a successful night. I did a fantastic bit, lots of laughs. And this never happens to me. I was the first one on. I'm normally like the second to last. When everybody's left, basically, that's when I'm on. Have you ever been bombed?
Yes. Yes, I have bombed on stage.
How do you recover from that?
It's the worst feeling. Normally, just processing the shame, the regret, like, oh, why was I such an idiot on...
Did you get bombed like people booed you, or they just didn't find you funny, or did they say anything like get off the stage or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. It's more just I'll perform and I know I haven't done well and people aren't laughing at what I'm saying, and then when I look back on it, I can say, yeah, I really wasn't funny there. My jokes didn't land there. More that.
Have you ever had a moment where you had the same set, but for
Yeah.
two different audiences, one that killed and one that didn't?
Yes, yeah, that
I don't
has
understand that.
it's just different crowds laugh at different things.
Mm.
Like, like when it's a younger audience, they normally like the punchlines, the penis jokes, the yeah, that just a really simple humor. But if it's an older crowd, then they like it to be a bit more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Generally.
Okay. Because, like, you want your comedy to be universal in the sense that it should work everywhere. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
it depends. Even if crowds have different types of sense of humor, it's like if it's funny, then it's funny. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I mean,
I'm not
you would feel.
sure.
I'm not saying that everybody should like the same kind of joke or the same kind of comedian, all right? But like, if a comedian is rocking it in one place and is rocking it in the second place, and he did the same thing in the third place and it didn't rock, you kind of just feel, eh. Maybe, I mean, how did you get all these bad eggs in one basket? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you want those you want those audience that won't laugh at your stuff to be spread out evenly to a crowd that would laugh at your stuff. It's like they got
Yeah.
all these ones that wouldn't laugh at you in that one spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things to that. Like, first of all, I don't think that there is any kind of humor that would work for everyone.
Mm.
And I think that's the case with any kind of art form. Like, there's no author who would write books that everyone would
Yeah.
enjoy.
Of course.
Yeah. But also, with how the crowd reacts, sometimes it can be a reflection on the mood of the night, not just on your set. And I've found that sometimes when the host is really bad or the host doesn't bring much energy into the crowd, then
Yeah.
when the other comedians are on, the other comedians might be doing really well, but the crowd don't react because they don't have that energy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it can depend on different nights will have their different moods, and that moods can be determined by a whole range of factors, such as how charismatic the host is,
Yeah.
or even just if it's a Monday night or a Friday night.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
no. I think you make a very interesting point there. I think a host has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
One thing in particular I don't like what some hosts do is they take up more stage time than they need to. It's like every time between introducing everybody, they're having a 5-minute set each time.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because not only is it dragging the night, it's like you're also eating in our time. I believe a host should have a good 5 minutes of the intro.
Yeah.
Right, then introduce, and then after the first comedian's done and he comes in to introduce the other one, he can reference what that comedian did.
Yeah.
That guy was funny. I especially like that joke. If you like that one, hopefully you like the next guy. Keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these 5 minutes in between. Like if you got 10 comedians to watch, and this guy's taking 5 minutes in between these 10 comedians. Gonna go on all night.
Yeah.
The crowd is gonna get bored. And us as the comedian, like, come on, man, hurry the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's just my pet.
Yeah.
peeve,
Well, I think the host sets the mood for the crowd. I don't think the host has to be the funniest person on stage, but the host has to be the most engaging. The host has to be the one
No
who's
doubt.
engaging with the crowd.
No doubt.
If the host spends too much time talking about themselves or just doing comedy that doesn't involve the audience, then I think that can be a bit of a problem.
Oh,
because,
most definitely.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like, I'm not saying don't keep it spontaneous.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to lack any panache. Like, he can change outfits in between. He can have a different jacket on or a hat on or whatever. Just something in between to keep things lively.
Yeah.
Right? But just don't go on and do 5 minutes between other people's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that angers me the most.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, let's get a little bit more interesting here.
Yeah.
If you could do your comedy bit for any audience in history, which decade or audience would you choose?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'd want to say the 1980s when they had um comedians like Rodney Rude who would just do penis jokes and people would find that hilarious because back in those days those sorts of jokes weren't as common as they are now. Like these days people roll their eyes at penis jokes. Like they'll think, oh, that comedian's just doing penis jokes, can't they think of something more clever? But back in the day people would just love those sorts of jokes because they
I think penis jokes still work today. You have to be a bit more creative because it's been done to death. That's very interesting. Like Eddie Murphy, when he started out, he was doing a lot of fart jokes.
Right.
Pure 80s type comedy, right? And Rodney Dangerfield, you know Rodney Dangerfield?
Yes.
Yeah. He went up to Eddie after his set and he said to Eddie Murphy, kid, I don't think you're going to make it if you keep telling these fart jokes, you know? I don't think you're going to go anywhere. And like years later, when Eddie Murphy blew up, became like the number one guy in comedy, especially in the 80s. Eddie Murphy comedy in the 80s is Michael Jackson 80s to music. You know, I mean, that's how the status like. And they were at a hotel and Eddie Murphy goes to use the men's room and then Rodney Dangerfield follows him into the men's room. And he sees Eddie Murphy taking a whiz and he takes the stall next to him, take a whiz. And he looks at Eddie Murphy and he says, who knew? He had no idea he was gonna make it, and it's like saying I was wrong. You know what I mean? Who knew? And that was the story that Eddie told, and I just find that hilarious. Okay, Josh, finish this sentence.
Yes.
Comedy is
a lot of fun. It's very energetic and it's very unifying.
We should put that into Wikipedia.
Yes.
Okay. Normally I say this question towards the end, but I like to ask it midway. Like, what would you like your audience to take from this conversation about you?
That's a good question.
I ask brain teasers in this podcast.
I try not to make my comedy about myself, and I think going back to when we were talking about the stuttering, there's some comedians who they would make their difference the centerpiece of it. And for me, like the reason why I don't make heaps of jokes about the stutter is because I don't want that to be what defines me as a
people
comedian.
will be fixated on it.
And I want people to sort of see me beyond that.
Yeah. See, because you could have done something very cliche and called yourself Stuttering Josh.
Yes.
You know, or Josh the Stutterer or something like that, and that just would have taken away because that's what only people expect.
Yes.
You know, so good choice there. If you could swap lives with any comedian for a week, who would you choose?
Well, that is a brain teaser. Possibly someone like Dave Hughes. Just because wherever he goes, he could sell out a crowd on whatever night.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. But how is he as like a person? Like, would you like to live his life for a week? Even not when he's just performing, just going shopping or whatever in Dave Hughes' body.
I mean, he has a very unique mannerism about him, and I think that would be interesting to experience.
No, of course, no doubt. All right, here's an out of space question.
Yep.
If aliens came down from Earth and asked you to explain humanity with a joke, what joke would you tell?
I'd just say, well, humanity is a joke.
There you go.
Yeah.
Keep flying, don't come here. All right, now, time to get a little existential here.
Yes.
I like to get a little philosophical, if I said that correctly. Now, when you're on stage, do you feel you are more yourself or less yourself?
I feel like I'm more myself because I feel like when I'm on stage, I can just say all the things that I would like to be able to say in my day to day life, but
Mm.
have to like keep it constrained due to social norms.
Mm.
So
Do you feel like you got that sense of power, like you're a superhero when you're
yeah,
on stage?
yes, I do. I certainly turn into an exaggerated version of myself when I am on stage.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I feel that way too. I feel very liberated when I'm done too. I think it's the most therapeutic thing ever. If you can't afford a therapist, just get on stage.
Yes.
I think you get treated better that way. Um, do you think comedy is a way of avoiding the big question of life, or is it in a way answering them?
I think it very much depends on the person. I think it could be either of them. I think comedy can be a very healthy way of escaping reality. Like if you're stressed out with your life and you just want to go and have a good laugh one night and forget about everything, then yeah, you could do it like that. Or you could also look at it from a philosophical approach where you'll 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 go to comedy to watch another comedian and sort of and learn how they experience the world,
Mm.
because a lot of comedy is just comedians talking about how they see the world.
Yeah.
And so when you go and see a comedy show, you're getting an insight into someone else's world. So I think it could be either, just depending on the person and the day.
Okay. Well answered. Well said. Um, when you're on stage, do you feel like you're connecting with the people, or do you feel more like you're escaping from them?
Yeah, so I'm not a comedian who's super comfortable with crowd work. I don't do a lot of it. So I'd say I'm more escaping. Like
Mm.
I still want to entertain people. I want to be funny, but when it's my 5 minutes on stage, it's more me inviting them into my world,
Yeah.
not them inviting me into their world.
Ah, well said. Ah, that's well said. That's one for the books. Should put that in a quote. Um, how do you deal with hecklers? Have you ever been heckled?
Not seriously, no. Yeah, normally I just ignore them because I'm not someone who can just come up with really funny comebacks on
Mm.
the spot.
Yeah,
So
that is a gift.
yeah, that is a gift.
But
Some comedians can do it really well,
well,
but
the best method I found was just attack their mothers immediately. You know, yeah, no, that's what she said can go very far.
yeah.
Okay, now let's get a bit lightly now, something a bit more lively. Um, some funny questions here. What's the most useless talent that you have, Josh?
The most useful talent that I have. I'm not sure if it's a talent. I have a very strange addiction to bobby pins
Okay.
where I always like to fidget around and play with bobby
Well,
pins.
that's something that can never make you successful.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But
Yeah.
I would be surprised if there's anybody else on the planet who has the same obsession with bobby pins that I
Mm.
have.
Well, this is my useless talent. That's
Oh,
it.
that's very impressive.
That's it. I
I
learned
can
that
do
in
that.
ninth grade science because I
Yes.
had this kid that was in that class and he was doing it, and I spent all that term trying to figure that out. By the end of that science class, I figured it out, and that's all I learned in the
Yeah.
ninth grade science. Okay. Here we go. If animals could do stand up, which animal do you think would be the most funniest?
Oh, that's
And I want to say this: you can't say hyena just because they laugh. All right?
okay.
Because hyenas laugh, but
Yeah.
I think they're jerks. I don't think they'll be funny at all. But
No. I think monkeys can be very amusing.
mhm.
Yeah, once when I was in a the Singapore Zoo, I saw one monkey give another monkey a blowjob, which was pretty amusing.
Is that comedy or animal porn?
Yeah, well, it could be either, but it certainly drew my attention.
Oh, I remember when I went to the zoo one time, we saw two horses doing it, and all these kids were running to laugh at them.
Right.
All right, and I was like, okay. Like, imagine that was their attitude if they caught their parents watching porn, right? Would they run to the TV and laugh? You know, I mean, but yeah, okay, no, all right, monkeys. Yeah, well, monkeys are funny. All right, here's a brain teaser for you there, Josh. Which historical figure do you think will make a fantastic comedian?
Oh, so which historical figure? Oh,
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's only have to be someone who has a lot of energy. I mean, I think Lennon was very engaging. He was sort of
John Lennon.
No, Vladimir Lenin.
Okay.
The Russian revolutionary.
Okay.
He
now
had
we're
a
talking.
way of winning the crowd over with.
Well, so did Hitler. But okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I'm sure Hitler would have probably had some comedic talent as well. He was very engaging.
Yeah. I would love to know what his opening joke would be. I have so many, but I like to think Genghis Khan would probably be hilarious. Because of all the battles that he does and the amount of people that he killed, I think he'll just brag about it on stage. Like, you know, I hit 100 nerves today. You know, I think that would be a good way for him to start his bit. Okay. What's a joke that made you laugh so much? What's a joke that you wish you had come up with?
A joke which I've came up with. I had one comedian say, "I'm not afraid of heights, but I'm afraid of width."
I think I know who said that.
Yeah.
Stephen Wright.
Yeah. When I read that, I found that hilarious.
Yeah. No, Stephen Wright.
It's
great.
that kind of comedy that I reckon I wish I could.
His demeanor is so unorthodox.
Yeah.
He is not the most flamboyant. He's not energetic. He looks like he just got out of bed every time he gets on stage.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't even brushed his teeth or washed his face. He's just there. And he's talking like this. Like he hasn't found his day voice. It's still morning voice. But everything that comes out of this guy's mouth is just pure gold.
Yeah.
And I think that's all part of, obviously that's all part of his act. The way the hair messy style, you know, the slouching, you know, it all comes together and it's just impeccable stuff. Okay. Okay, I like that joke too. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I heard him say that just a few months ago. I was binge watching one-liner comedians.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a talent on its own. You know, how can they do it repeatedly for so long? You know, I'll probably run out after 3-4 one-liners. I wouldn't have any more. These guys just keep busting them out. What's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you off stage that you wish happened to you on stage?
Okay, so my most embarrassing moment is once I was in a bakery and I was looking at all the cakes and I was walking down an aisle and suddenly I ran into a person who looked identical to myself.
You found your doppelganger.
Yes, that's what I thought, and I stopped and froze, and then I screamed out loud, and then I didn't even notice there was a mirror right in front of me.
Oh no!
And
that is embarrassing.
Yeah, that would be.
How would you tell that? That would be interesting. How would you tell that in the stand-up? Okay, here we go. I got another one for you. If stand-up was an Olympic sport, what would be your signature move?
I'd say high jump because I always like to make people just roll with laughter in any way that I can. So I'd leap high, so high jump.
So rolling and high.
Yeah, rolling.
Yeah, that's
high.
a metaphor for something.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a joke that you love so much that sadly never worked for an audience?
I'm just, mm, just trying to think. I've definitely have jokes that haven't worked. There's one I do that I'm very proud to have come up with, but it doesn't get a heap of laughs. Which is, I had a colonoscopy on the weekend. It was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I'll go with that one.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's funny, but it's also like very predictable. It's like you see it coming. But no, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good. It's good. All right. Here's the final one in the fun section.
Yes.
If your sense of humor was a beverage, a drink, what drink would it be there, Josh?
My sense of humor is quirky but simple. So I'd probably go a tequila sunrise. Yeah.
Nice
because
choice.
it's got a very simple flavor, but it's also got a very unique flavor.
Okay. Terrific. Do you have any gigs coming up?
Not at present. I'll certainly be going to Rhino Rooms on Monday night. I'm planning to be there on this Monday night, and hopefully I'll get a spot.
All right, check them out, the Rhino Room. Now we've come to the part, Josh, where I'm going to ask you 10 very well-known questions.
All
They're
right.
short questions, don't worry. They're nothing to worry about. Now, these questions were inspired by James Lipton.
Right.
If you don't know who he is, he used to have a show called Inside the Actors Studio. And he was inspired by these questions by a French journalist named Bernard Pivot. And he will always close his interviews with these questions.
Yes.
And are you ready for it?
Ready.
All right, here we go. Josh, what is your favorite word?
Favorite word is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Nice. I never would have expected you to say that.
No.
What is your least favorite word?
Least favorite word. Brick.
Brick.
Yes.
Okay. What turns you on? Like in terms of creatively, spiritually, emotionally. Doesn't have to be sexually.
No.
This is not a sexual question. But what turns you on?
I do a practice called transcendental meditation twice a day. I find that's very mystical and spiritual. So
Nice.
that.
What turns you off?
I'm very, when people use a tone of voice that I don't like, I'm very sensitive to people's tones of voice.
Give me an example.
What's a
Like
good
if something
example?
sounds negative.
Yeah, if something sounds negative, or if someone just says something to me in a tone that I don't like.
Like a smuggish type thing? Yeah, okay.
Smuggish type, I'll just be like,
Yeah, that's fine. What is your favorite curse word?
Cunt.
You can't be Australian if you don't say
No.
cunt. I think we've had two of my last guests have said the exact same thing. You're number 3.
Well, it just rolls off the tongue so comfortably. Cunt.
Yep.
Cunt.
I prefer to when I'm calling somebody that word, I can't say it. I can't comment on it without it being taken off. So I call them a see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
What sound or noise do you love?
this I love a good melody. Icelandic melodies are very soothing.
Mm-hmm. What sound or noise do you hate?
The sound of windscreen wipers.
Oh God, yeah. I have that problem actually. Yeah. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would love to work probably somewhere in the mental health field.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's very noble.
Yeah.
Very rewarding, I bet. What profession would you not like to do?
I would not like to be a plumber because I'm terrible with tactile making things work, building things.
Okay.
I just wouldn't be able to do that.
Okay. And finally, Josh, if heaven exists,
Yes.
what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like God to say to me that I've done more good than bad in the world, that that I've achieved enlightenment, and that I'm deserving of eternal bliss.
And there you have it. You couldn't answer it better than that.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, I hope you enjoyed your experience here at the Magic Hour.
Yes, I have. It's been great
Yeah, it was
talking
fun.
to you.
All right.
Great experience. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Magic Hour. If you want to follow Josh, his Instagram details are right there. Be sure to follow him. He's a funny chap, funny man, and he will blow you away. I was in awe. I got to tell you, I was in awe. I'm still awing right now of how good he was, and he made me work harder in my comedy to want to compete with that kind of energy. That's what I can tell you for sure. Be sure to follow me on my Instagram channel, which is at Fame Film Agency, and subscribe to my YouTube channel at Majid and Andary. Until next time, guys, I'm going to have a conclusion with a Matthew McConaughey. All right.
All right.
I'm broke, bitch.